Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. And thank you for joining today's webinar on 5 ways how Acumatica cuts your fulfillment time in half, presented by Nirav Shah. Few housekeeping rules before we get started. Everybody has been muted upon entering, and please use the Q&A section of the Teams menu to submit your questions throughout the presentation, and we will address them at the end of the session. This session is being recorded and will be shared with you in the next 24 hours and will also be available on our YouTube channel. Few introduction for those who may not know me. My name is Avani Shah. I am the Director of People and Digital Experience at Series ERP, and I bring from our brand to our user experience is what I reflect on clarity and value and trust. I focus both on Acumatica and Microsoft Business Central as well for our company. And today's presenter is Nirav Shah, who is the president of Series ERP. He brings 20 years of experience of implementation, leading successful implementation across many different industries. He also has the privilege of helping businesses streamline operations and modernize systems with platforms like Acumatica and Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. He is also the co-host of ABC's of ERP and Beyond podcast, where he shares real life experience of ERP stories and beyond. So without further ado, I will let Nirav take over, and thank you for joining again.
Thank you, Avani. Happy to be here as part of the presenters for this particular webinar we're doing on ways Acumatica ERP could cut your distribution time in half. Now, a lot of distributors out there, face this challenge often where they need to, be very responsive when it comes to shipping and be able to turn order to shipping out within hours, especially now in the advent of, the modern age retailer. They need to be able to fulfill orders the same day, oftentimes within 2 hours, right? Or within 2 days. And, Amazon has made that benchmark very clear. To be able to operate in this industry, you need to find ways to create efficient warehousing, efficient shipping, processes within your organization. And really where it all starts and comes together is in the proper systems. When you have the proper systems in place, that will help you manage your customer orders, manage inventory, manage your shipments very, very efficiently and seamlessly. Now, if you're one of those customers or one of those companies that is just starting to, become high volume, you're starting to outgrow some of the processes you first put into place when you started the business, such as, being on QuickBooks and putting in an order and then sending that order, putting it into an Excel spreadsheet so your back office warehousing team could see it. And then your back office warehouse team logs into an inventory system that then they look at how much inventory they have. Then they pull the inventory, then they send it along the line to your shipping team. Then your shipping team logs into, UPS World Ship or FedEx or ShipStation or ShipEngine. They log into these other platforms, log in with their username, and start to go ahead and process the shipment, create the label, find out what the cost is, find out what the price should be, charging back to the customer, making sure you're meeting their delivery times, and then printing a label, and then sending a manual invoice to the customer that your shipment has shipped, and here's a packing slip number and tracking number. And then taking that paperwork that got generated from your shipping department all the way back up to your front office. So your front office could now go ahead and effectively verify what was shipped and then complete the billing aspect of that particular transaction so you could send the invoice to the customer. Now, if that sounds very familiar in what you're doing, you're not the anomaly. It's very common. A lot of small businesses, distributors in the space have that workflow. And the idea today is for us to share with you this idea of an ERP system, what we call enterprise resource planning, and specifically Acumatica, and how Acumatica could kind of turbocharge that process for you. Because in the example I gave earlier, you'll find a lot of people in different positions using their own systems versus within Acumatica, everybody is using Acumatica, and that makes the order to shipping process or even order to invoicing process very seamless, because the dependencies along the line and alerts that you get of when things need to ship and invoice by happens automatically, because of an integrated solution like Acumatica. So everybody has visibility to know where orders are standing, which orders are back ordered, which orders are urgent, need to ship today, where are they in the picking process, where are they in the shipping process, has a label been generated, and can we automate the invoicing, right? We could extract a lot of what I call wasteful time in your operations when you implement an ERP system like this, so everyone is on the same page. In front of everybody here today, you see what we call the Acumatica dashboards. In this particular dashboard, I am showing our distribution flow. Okay, and this is a really nice kind of graphics to start the webinar today, to show you what a standard distribution flow looks like and how Acumatica supports distributors correctly, by way of this particular presentation here. So here you notice, you have your supplier, you go ahead and create a purchase order, you're receiving the purchase order in your warehouse, and then you may ship it to a retail outlet, or you may have a website where you go ahead and do the distribution, and then the product then gets prepared for shipping and goes to a customer, right? And now there's many different type of setups here, right? This system and solution could be used for a company that is as small as a small distributor, right? They have a 2,000 square foot facility where they house inventory, receive inventory, and then ship it back out to their customer that are ordering online, right? All the way up to a customer that has 15 distribution locations plus 3 or 4 different retail presence online, and they may have a will call process where customers come into their facility to purchase and grab the material. So the solution is designed, Acumatica is designed to really handle all aspects of this distribution process in terms of how big your distribution network is throughout the country or world effectively. So with that being said, and laying down the foundation of a standard distribution flow here, I want to start getting into 5 ways Acumatica cuts your fulfillment time in half. Okay. And there's a lot of different functionality here inside Acumatica. The first 3 points that we're going to go through today basically have to do with fulfilling to the customer. Customer orders, right? 3 ways we could essentially cut your fulfillment time to your customer in half. The last 2 points of our webinar today will be focused on fulfilling inventory quickly. So that's vendor facing. How quickly can you adapt and create purchase orders or receive inventory to then ship to your customer ultimately? So there's going to be a couple different, 2 angles to this particular presentation, which I think is relevant from the standpoint because, when you look at fulfillment to a customer, you need to fulfill your customer on time, maybe even sooner, based on at least their due date. And then how quickly can you get inventory from your vendor? How can you fulfill your inventory quickly to meet your customer due date? So those are the couple things that we're going to talk about today in our presentation. So let's go right into it. Oh, looks like I'm not sharing here. Let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen again. I'm going to come in through here, and now the first point of our 5 items here is checking real-time inventory while entering a sales order. So a lot of times right now when a customer might be calling you, might be submitting a PO via Outlook or calling you via the phone, you're putting in a sales order, but you don't know maybe what your actual real-time inventory is. And I'm not just talking about on-hand inventory. I'm talking about what's been allocated, what is actually available, right? And what's on hand. Now, those are three different kind of measurements of your inventory value and quantities that you have. Let's jump right into it and let's take a look at it. And by the way, if you are listening to this like on a audio platform, the remaining pieces of our webinar may be a little fuzzy or sketchy to you. If you really want to kind of absorb everything that we're going through today, go onto our YouTube channel and look at our presentation as we are sharing and displaying Acumatica and how it's going to work for you. So you'll be able to see the screens and kind of feels a little bit more interactive from that standpoint. But not to say you could absolutely go ahead and try to conceptualize what we're talking about and then refer back to the YouTube video on any parts of this presentation that you are interested to see. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. From our dashboard, I'm going to go to our left-hand side where we call it navigation pane and select our sales order menu. And as soon as I select our sales order menu, you're going to notice on the left-hand side, what's opened up is our full sales order module and everything that's related to it. So you have a number of transactions, we have automated operations, we have automated processes, our forms, our reports, and our setup tables. Really nice when you navigate around Acumatica that it's intuitive. It really tries to get you to the place that you're thinking about. You don't have to guess. In a lot of ERP systems, you're kind of guessing where certain functions might be sitting, versus in Acumatica, you kind of have once you have a general idea, you select that particular module in the navigation pane, and really quickly off to the right-hand side will open up that full menu for you to go ahead and find the proper function you're looking for. So in this particular example, I'm going to go into our sales order. And again, this one, our very first one, we are checking real-time inventory while entering a sales order. Okay. So in my particular instance, I have the modern UI turned on, and we'll do a separate training video on the modern UI, but you're going to notice this looks really, really slick. It looks very easy on the eyes, a lot more rounded edges instead of like your traditional square type of feels and edges in the system. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new sales order for us. Okay. And I'm going to come into our sales order screen. Without getting into the details of order to order, I'm just going to go and create our sales order, put in our customer PO number, and I'm going to go and select the customer. Let's say it's a USA bartending school. From us, they're going to buy some balloons maybe or some other items, right? Down here in the line section, when you're entering an order real time, okay, I'm going to go ahead and select add. What add does for me, it gets me into the option to start adding some inventory items. Now, before I go ahead and do that, right, I'm going to go and add the item. Actually, let me just go and do this. I'm going to go and add the item, and let's say I'm going to put in our balloon here. Okay, put in our balloon item here. Our inventory ID, we're going to sell from our wholesale warehouse. It comes in a box of 50, so I'm going to do one box of 50, which is $7.50. Now, if you can see down here in the bottom, at the line level, I have some information on our inventory summary. So it tells us on hand, we have 49 boxes of 50. Available, which is really important. What's available is what you're going to be able to ship. We have only 33 available. So I could have 49 on hand, but only 33 available. And I have available for shipping. I have 48 boxes and allocated 0. So there might be a situation where, you have inventory allocated to a different sales order, or you have inventory allocated to maybe an assembly order or a kitting order that you need to fulfill, right? It takes all this type of detail into account. So what you end up being able to promise your customer is accurate inventory quantities. So your customer is certain that they're going to get the correct quantity that they have asked for at the right time, right? Now back on the sales order, you can put in, the requested on, ship on rules, right? When you want to deliver by, and then shipping rules. Essentially, you have our back orders allowed. Do you want to cancel the remainder once you've gone ahead and shipped your first quantity? And if you have nothing available after the fact, you go ahead and cancel that, or you want to just provide a ship complete that say don't touch this order unless we have all the inventory available. Now, another thing I want to share with you when it comes to on-hand inventory is what we call item availability. So if I select item availability right here under our detail tab, that's going to take us into some more detail into our summary level of our items. So this tells us in our item availability, okay, and you'll notice our unit of measure on our sales order was box of 50, but we stock it in individual pieces or eaches. So it's converted, when we look at our inventory summary, it's converted this in pieces. We have 2,450 pieces on hand, 1,650 pieces available, and here's what's available for shipping. And it also gives us kind of a chronological view of all the different document types that are calling this order from a supply and a demand standpoint. So we see purchase orders. We have one coming in incoming here. We have sales orders, and we have a shipment that's earmarked for this particular item. Okay. Now, if we want to look at this any further, we could look at inventory summary. And this is kind of a really nice view because this breaks down that inventory even further by telling you what's available for shipment, what's booked on a sales order, what's allocated. Here you see we have 50 allocated. So here's our on hand 2450. We have 50 allocated, so we only have available for shipment 2400, right? And tells our estimated cost, so on and so forth. And this is a real-time cost as it's coming into your system. So it's really nice even for financial people. So you notice here, like you could really dig deep into the details of your inventory, and you want to be able to, in confidence, promise your customer what they're going to be, what they could, get from you reliably at the end of the day. So that's a really nice look at, how you could go ahead and, look at your inventory levels on a sales order. And once you have good inventory and you're confident in that inventory, that alone is going to cut your distribution time down to your customer, because this is going to be a very streamlined process for you at the end of the day. Instead of having to send emails back and forth, hey, do we have enough inventory? Did you check this area of the warehouse? Do you check that area of the warehouse? Instead, this is really real time, and you could, in again, full confidence, know that you do have this inventory and you're available to ship to the customer. All right, so that's number one, is to check real-time inventory while entering your sales orders. Now, the second kind of way to cut your distribution time in half is adding freight cost at the sales order level, and also looking at freight pricing at the sales order level. So here, again, within my sales order, a lot of times distributors are doing freight quotations, right? They are setting up freight up front. Or if you have Shopify, the customer has purchased the freight already from Shopify. So that order should automatically come over into your ERP with that detail already recorded against it. So if I go into my shipment tab here, let me go into my shipping tab here. I could now tell the system, how do I want to go ahead and provide the freight here? So I could go into our ship via field, tell the system that I'm going to put in some sort of packaging for us. And let's say I'm going to estimate that this is going to take a small package at the end of the day. It came up with some weight. That's great. I'm going to refresh our rates down here on the bottom. And with our shipping integration, let's go ahead and put our dimension here. And down here, delete this package, add a new package here. Let's do medium package here. All right, we have some shipping warehouse. We're going to go ahead and say we're going to ship it from our wholesale warehouse. All right, we're going to go refresh rates. As soon as I refresh our rates here, we should get a number of different rates. So here we see we have rates coming in, and this is an integration that's available with Acumatica, embedded within Acumatica. So you don't have to go out to your ShipStation environment. You don't have to go to UPS WorldShip. You don't have to go to your USPSstamps.com site, anything like that. The integration is tightly embedded within Acumatica. So once you just set up your account in Acumatica, you get your rates associated to your accounts that you're used to seeing. So here you'll see I have a number of different options for this particular shipment. I could do USPS next day, FedEx ground, UPS ground, FedEx, right? USPS priority, so on and so forth. So I'm going to select my USPS priority here, okay, which I know is $8.55, and hit OK. And you'll notice that my freight cost gets updated here, right? My freight cost is $8.55, but we also have a freight price rule. Now, this is important because this, a lot of times finance, is charging for freight when it comes to the invoicing side of this transaction. So there are rules you could put into place on the shipping side saying that you want to charge 10% extra above the shipping cost back to the customer. And you could do that using Acumatica. And here we could see that we could kind of estimate what the freight price will be when shipping is complete with their process for this particular order. So here we could see that we have, freight pricing here. And even when you look up here in the subtotals, here we could see that quantity ordered, $7.50. Our freight in this case is a little bit higher than what the customer product is, but our freight total is $10.55. There's no tax. So our total is $18.05. So you kind of get a running total of this whole order as well, which is really nice. So you can see kind of what the total volume, order quantity and amounts are. I'm going to go ahead and create my shipment for this order at this point. And what that is instructions to your shipping team that this is now ready for shipping, right? Or shipping would go ahead and do this function so they could go ahead and basically start the picking process for this order. So let's go ahead and create the shipment. Now with the shipment created, what you'll notice here, as soon as we come in through here, is that our USPS is already selected. Our freight cost is already there. If there was any changes within the freight cost, at this point, the system will update that. Let's say, you didn't actually ship it for a week later, the system would know that and automatically update the rate for you, okay? Now, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and confirm my shipment. This looks all good for me. And once I confirm my shipment, we should go ahead and get the label from this particular instance for us and be able to see this label come through. So let's go ahead and select confirm shipment and let this go ahead and execute. The execution of the shipment is complete. What you also see here is against the shipment, we have our tracking number that automatically came through. We have a particular URL link that is sent to the customer so they know when their shipment is going to be arriving. And more importantly, here is the USPS label that was created all within Acumatica without having to leave and go into a third-party system. Right? Again, this will also kind of be a huge improvement for a lot of companies because of the fact you're doing it in a single system. So, imagine somebody from customer service getting a call in regards to that sales order. Well, they could just go into that sales order within Acumatica, navigate then to the shipping tab and be able to see the order, the shipment number, and then also navigate to see the tracking number all within a single system. I think that boosts productivity for the sales team by tenfold, which is really nice here. So now at this point, real quickly, I can just go ahead and just prepare the invoice. And this could be an automated process for us. You don't have to do this manually. I'll just go ahead and do this real fast, prepare the invoice for us as the invoice is generating. Taking a little bit longer than I expected here, but here we go. Here's our invoice. And again, this is my demo environment. Our invoice is generated, and I want to just quickly show here. We see our total. We have our freight total here as well, and our total amount for this invoice is $18.05. I could just release this and basically go ahead and through Acumatica, again, keeping everything connected. Here's the finance module to be able to invoice this order. So now, this invoice would be sent to the customer at the end of the day. One more thing I want to show here on the customer side of fulfilling orders to the customer and how you could really cut down your shipping time in half through Acumatica is a few other dashboards. And dashboards are huge because they end up becoming like day-to-day work queues for your team. So especially the shipping team, there's these shipping dashboards essentially that they could work off of. They don't have to get paperwork from the front office on what needs to ship today. They could just go directly into some dashboards for them, what I call the shipping clerk dashboard, and really get a good view of, hey, how many shipments should I start preparing for today? What do I have to pick today, right? How many orders are ready to pick today? So I could quickly look at this and a couple different views here. Here's one of the two different shipping clerk dashboards. Our first one here is telling us we have 7 shipments overdue. We have 6 shipments that need to pick and pack here. I could process my orders. Here are my orders to ship. Essentially, here's our orders to pick and pack, right? And I could then go into these orders and one by one, just kind of start hammering out my orders, create my pick, send them, create my pick here, send the pick over to our our picking team, so they go and pick the order, bring that back, and then we'll start the shipping process. So here's our pick ticket, right? Very easily through using a dashboard view, right? And this is all out of the box type of dashboards within Acumatica. No need to create any specialized dashboards. Here's another dashboard I want to quickly share here with you, is our dashboard under our inventory clerk. And this one is a similar view, but you notice that it has a little bit more information: shipments for today, late shipments, urgent pick list to complete, and we have orders to ship. But the nice thing about this view is it gives you your status. So it tells us our completed status, open status, shipping status on our different shipments, right? So really, if I'm the shipping clerk, I just stay within our shipping clerk dashboard, and just go and use this day to day and go through each order one by one to go ahead and pick, pack, and ship essentially at the end of the day. So this again alone, this dashboard alone will help you reduce your shipping time in half out of Acumatica by using these out of the box dashboards that we have. Now moving on, we have two more kind of tricks up our sleeve, if you will. We're talking about the vendor side of the house now is fulfilling inventory quickly, bringing inventory in to Acumatica so you could then go ahead and warehouse and ship it out to a customer. The first one I want to share with you is what we call a replenishment process. Oftentimes, distributors, especially if you're kind of still using Excel spreadsheets, you're using a third-party inventory system, right? And your third-party inventory system is not connected with your demand that's coming into your system, which are all the sales orders, right? Maybe you don't have any proper fixed reorder quantities, min maxes, in which you order from. Well, that's where Acumatica shines, is really right out of the box. You could use this function called prepare replenishment. And what you'll see here as I go through this particular filter screen is items that you need to order or that you want to order for, and be ahead of that supply to meet that demand that's going to come into your warehouse at the end of the day. So this is a really nice and really easy to use planning screen here for us. It doesn't get too deep into MRP and MPS, and I know a lot of small businesses kind of shy away from MRP and MPS. It's a little bit more complex, has a lot more rules associated with it, versus using a simple tool like a prepare replenishment. This really gives you a bird's eye view to stay on top of your inventory. So you see all your items in a single shot. You see the quantity on demand here from sales orders, quantity on hand, quantity on supply, meaning quantity on purchase orders that are coming in, or it could even be transfer orders. Min-max quantities, right? Replenishment quantities, reorder points, safety stocks, what the replenishment sources, who's your preferred vendor, right? All these things that are really common when you go and do your day-to-day planning. So if I wanted to plan something out of here, I could just go ahead and select this particular line. Let's say I want to buy some balloons here, my Happy Easter balloons, even though Easter's kind of past here. Let's say I want to order an extra 1,500 balloons here. Well, I'm going to go put in quantity to process here. Now, I could put any quantity I want, right? Which is a really nice feature. I can select process. As soon as I select process, it goes ahead and dumps this item into what we call let's go into our purchase dashboard or workspace, into our create purchasing queue here, essentially. And when we come into our create purchasing queue, we're going to see our Happy Easter balloon 1,500 that we need to create for this particular vendor. If I want to change my vendor, I could do that here pretty easily, but I want to just automate my purchase order creation of a purchase order process. I'll select that item and that line, create process, and we'll see the purchase order get created here relatively easily. Right through Acumatica. So really no manually typing of purchase orders, which I know a lot of companies do. They'll manually type in the vendor, the due date, the item number, the quantity. Well, in this case, as soon as this is a couple clicks, and as soon as I click through my mouse, my purchase order is created, and I can go ahead and send this off to the vendor. Okay. So that was number 4, using the replenishment process to cut your fulfillment time in half to your customer. Now our last and final tip here to cut your fulfillment time in half is the ability to create a purchase order directly from a sales order. Now, this is probably a game changer for a lot of customers out there, because maybe they do a lot of make to order. Maybe they do a lot of specific orders that come in on a sales order basis, and they then create the PO once that order comes in directly to that vendor. right? So instead of having to do that as 2 separate steps or 3 separate steps, Acumatica really condenses it down, and you could do that as a single step, really, and a natural flow in terms of creating your sales order. So let's jump right into it. Let's go ahead and create a new sales order for us. We're going to the create the sales order process. We're going to our sales order workspace here and going to our sales order list. And I'm going to create a new sales order for us. Okay. Create the sales order. Again, I'm going to go through our header screen. I'm just going to put anything for the PO number. I'm going to go select a customer here. And let's say I do AA customer, Alt Ace. Okay, and now I'm going to go add a line down here. I'm going to add an inventory item that I'm selling to the customer. The customer is actually requesting from me. Let's say it's an Acer laptop. Okay, and let's say they're going to buy 3 of them, right? I know I have enough inventory down here in the bottom, but I'm going to go and order this specifically for this particular customer, but for a specific vendor. So I'm going to scroll to the right of our screen here, and there is a flag here called Mark for PO. And what that means, this is purchase to order. So what I could do once I have this Mark for PO set, I don't have to wait for it to be planned out from our planning team. As a customer service rep, I could just, from a sales order, create my purchase order very, very easily. So I'm going to select create purchase order directly from our sales order option here. And what you'll see is right here straight away, I'm back in my create purchase order screen. Remember we just saw this a few moments ago when we were doing our replenishment, we were planning our inventory to bring in. Well, in this case, we told the system directly from the sales order, I want to create my purchase order. I want to bypass the whole planning piece of it because I'm purchasing this for order for my customer. I could go ahead and make any changes before I create my purchase order, but then I could just select this line. And you notice that the filters are already predefined and carrying forward that sales order number that we were just at, and also my item number and all the other information that's relevant for the PO to be created. I'll select this line here at the line level, select process, and create our purchase order to receive into stock, and essentially kind of have those two linked together. You'll notice this purchase order, once it's created, okay, and if you want to know, well, is this purchase order really for a sales order? There's a view demand option up here at the line level in the detail tab. I can select view demand here, and this links that purchase order 1942 to sales order 7146, which is really nice because, you know, on both sides of the transaction, on the sales order side or the purchase order side, you have full visibility on, you know, how these orders are related and connected at the end of the day. So with that being said, I think that takes us through our demo of, you know, 5 ways that Acumatica could help reduce and cut your distribution time in half. I hope everybody out there was able to see the benefits of using an integrated ERP system like Acumatica to really turbocharge and make those processes efficient so you could continue servicing your customers and building your business instead of managing multiple systems and transactions for accuracy, which could be a big time suck in your organization. So a system like this could really help you take your business to the next level, where you then could extract data and build a business for the long term. So I hope everybody was able to see this webinar, enjoyed the webinar, and really appreciate everyone's time here. So I'll give it back to Avani to go ahead and close out our webinar for today.
Thank you, Nirav. Appreciate the insight in Acumatica. I'm just going to wait a few seconds to see if there's any last minute questions in the Q&A box. And if not, okay, looks like there are no questions. So thank you very much for that presentation. And thank you everyone for joining today's session. We hope you found this session very informative. And as always, please email us if you have any questions or check out our social media platform for any updates and or news for our from at Series ERP. And please subscribe to Nirav's podcast for ABCs of ERP and beyond. And I appreciate everyone's time this morning. And thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.